You're live now.
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me great pleasure indeed to be introducing General Rajiv Sabharwal, Param Vishish Seva Medal, Ati Vishish Seva Medal, former SOC Signal Officer in Chief, and he was commissioned in 1981 like me, and incidentally has the honor of being the first paratrooper to have been appointed the SONC, and very accomplished and decorated general officer, retired recently, and he's trained in electronic warfare, and he has served twice in the military operations directorate, commanded a regiment in an operational area, then provided the communication engineering support to a strike corps, was ADG in the signals directorate, and it's eminently qualified to be speaking to us about this subject. And before he became the SONC, he was the commandant MCTE. So if there's one person who has handled it all, and as also the NFS, etc., were going on, he was instrumental. So without much ado, so over to you, General Sabharwal.
Sunil, and first of all, I'd like to thank Director St. George, my course mate, General Sunil Srivastava, General Ravi Arora, who have given me this opportunity to air my views on the communication aspects which are required for integration of not only air defense, but any other theaterized command or functional command which is like. But as you all will agree with me, a lecture on communications at 4 o'clock in the evening at 40 degrees temperature is a challenging task for, I find, 34 attendees who are trying to remain awake, listen to the talk. So just to, take them up, let me start a 30-second joke for them. Once Santa took a train from Delhi and he wanted to go to Amritsar. And next day morning, when he woke up, he was in Jammu. So he went to the station master Jammu and inquired, I wanted to go to Amritsar, how come I have reached Jammu? So I told him that the train in which you sat, the last compartment of that particular train gets cut at Jalandhar and it comes to Jammu, and rest of the train goes to Amritsar. So since you are in the last compartment, you reach Jammu. So Santa is furious and he goes to Jalandhar's railway station's station master and tells him, please ensure two things. First, there should be no last compartment in a train. Number two, even if there is a last compartment, it should be taken out and put somewhere in the center or in the beginning. So my request to St. George is just this, that whenever you have communication, kindly do not have the last topic as communication. And if you have it, then shove it somewhere in the beginning.
All right.
Okay. With that,
well taken.
Let me go back to August 15, 2019, when the Prime Minister announced the creation of CDS and set the ball rolling for jointness or theaterization itself. That very year, we in the Civil Directorate set about the task of going about this particular integration and how it will be carried out in all its granularities. So those of you who remember, we carried out a DEFCON seminar somewhere in December of 19. The topic of that was communication, a decisive catalyst for jointness. It was a very, very good seminar. A lot of good views, etc. came out. And the then chief and now CDS himself announced as to what the role of SONC would be in the forthcoming, joint kind of a scenario, etc., etc. And a lot of lofty aims are built. From there, a lot of committees, meetings, etc. have gone on. And I'm happy to state that the reps of Air Force, Navy, and Army have sat on the same table for months and months and evolved some kind of structure whereby this integration of theaterized commands and functional commands would be possible. But do we want this integration only in the physical domain? Only connection of wires or connection of some voice calls here and there? No. This integration we want right from the physical domain to information domain, cognitive domain, and finally the social domain. I'll speak about these domains a little more as we go back. So before I go further, let me try and share my presentation with you all so that things are much clearer to you. Okay, how I structured my talk is that initially I'll give you some concepts as to how the air defense communications have evolved since the first time air defense came up, that is around World War II. And since then, till the information age, how the air defense communication evolved, what does the modern air defense communication setup look like, what are its characteristics, what does it demand, which are the variables which affect it. Do the present communication setups of Army, Navy, Air Force meet those requirements of integration and meeting these challenges of an integrated air defense command? If not, what is the solution we have at hand? And what have we brought everything to the table? If you see the classical or the conventional domains of warfare, war started some on the land domain, slowly moved to sea, and with the Wright brothers sending their first flight in 1903, the air domain also picked up. But over a period of time, we found that the warfare on these domains started overlapping with each other. So you find where land and air overlap, you find these air, land, air transported airborne operations. Where land and sea, you find coastal. Air and sea, you find maritime. And the confluence of all these three domains, you find amphibious operations. But in 1957, once Russians sent the Sputnik aircraft on top, they gave you another domain called space, and people realized that the complete continuum of warfare is also possible in space. And today we see space as a complementary domain which provides C4I2SR to all the other domains, whether it is land, air, and sea. Air Defense Command or air defense communications have to do a lot in this particular domain. More of it as we go by. Finally, in the information age, today there is another fifth domain which has come up, which is called the information domain. Now, information domain has both wired and wireless kind of a setup within it. So you have cyber warfare, you have electromagnetic spectrum operations here, and you realize that this particular domain integrates both intra-domain kind of communications, whether you are on land, air, or sea, as well as inter-domain communications of between land and air, between air and sea, and between these three and space goes through the information domain. Therefore, any integration of air defense command or any theaterized command or any functional command has to take place in the information domain and not only in the physical domain. Physical domain is only a facilitator for the integration to be carried out in the information domain. Okay. Let's see some more aspects of it. If you see the history of air defense, right from World War I, when the first flight took off, and basically where it started getting used in the warfare was in World War II, you find that the air defense AD systems were basically taking care of platforms. They were platform in itself. So definition of a platform-centric this thing is that when the sensors, shooters, and the decision makers are tightly coupled to each other. If you see a Shilka AD system, you will find that the observer, the sensor, the radar, the gun system, and the guy who's to take decision are all on one single platform. You can take the same example on a naval ship or on an airship also. The flow of communications or the flow of orders, command and control is totally linear. JADC to ADOC, ADOC to ADCP, ADCP to the guns. Everything is linear, everything is hierarchical. Any break in communications anywhere, the air defense will collapse. This is the old type of conventional kind of this thing, and therefore the communications also went along with it. The Corps of Signals and their counterparts in Navy and Air Force also kept giving communications which was tightly coupled, which was linear, which had only links and not networks. So as you see this diagram, the sensors only gave inputs to warfighters and weapons. The sensors of one AD platform could not give the sensor output to the other AD platforms. The decision maker of a AD platform could not receive, could not task himself for the other weapons. So this kind of integration is still prevalent in Army, Navy, not to that extent in Air Force, but certainly in Army and Navy, this is still prevalent. But what is desired? Those of you who attended the last session also and heard the three speakers of integrated AD battle must have heard this term called NCW, everyone saying that our communications of integrated AD setup should be network centric. The definition of network centric is when all the entities, that is the sensor, shooters, and decision makers, are loosely coupled to each other. Therefore, for the sake of affiliation, they are in an organization, but the output of the sensors is available to every other service or to every other formation or to every other organization. Weapons can be tasked based on the sensor input from anyone. And similarly, the decision makers can receive sensor input from anywhere, take a decision, and task any other weapon systems. This is the kind of a setup in an NCW network-centric scenario. Now, how is this realized as far as communications is concerned? For this, first and foremost, you require a huge information grid, which is nothing but a huge network you require. For example, Indian Army has Army-1, Air Force has AFNet, Navy has its NEWN. These are superset of information grid where the complete command and control functions. Within this big superset of information grid, you may have various sensor grids like IACCS, you may have a shooter grid, and as you see here, everyone feeds to everyone else. Therefore, the sensors pick up the information and put it in a particular data center for anyone to pick it up from there. The decision makers could be anywhere. The shooters can be tasked by any decision maker. They can pick up the data of any sensors and carry out its destruction tasks. So summary in a net-centric environment is that the sensors are independent of organization and services because other than linearly giving their output only to a single weapon system, they give the sensor data to a data center where it is stored and made available to anyone else. So there is a process called publish and subscribe, which is carried out. The task of sensors is to publish that particular information in a data center. And the task of decision makers and shooters is to subscribe to that particular information wherever they are. Most of you have smartphones. Most of you have carried out some kind of notifications you have got on your smartphones. You have subscribed to certain data of BBC, of NDTV, etc. Whenever something takes place, that notification comes on your phone. This is publish and subscribe mechanism, which is required in a net-centric environment. Another term which I've written here is asynchronous in time and space. In the morning, General AP DGAD had said a particular line which I noted. He said that as DGAD or as any AD commander, he has to be prepared anytime and anywhere. In other terms, he was trying to say that the kind of communications which is expected to air defense should be asynchronous in time and space. How do you achieve asynchronicity in time and space? If you store a sensor data and it can be picked up at any time at your will, this is called asynchronous in time. And what is asynchronous space? If you're not fixed to a particular wired phone only and you can move about anywhere in the TBA or in the any zone, this is called asynchronicity in space. If you are on a wireless communication, you will always be asynchronous in space. If you are in a wired connectivity, you will always be synchronous in space. So this is the kind of net-centric environment in which the air defense battle has to take place today. How do we achieve this? Based on that, we have defined certain characteristics of AD communications for a modern information age integrated AD command battle. And it is not the characteristics of AD communications which are prevalent in World War II. First, due to its nature of operations, the AD communications have to be real-time, and if not real-time, at least in near real-time. The latency has to be very, very, very low. That means from detection till destruction and all the steps of AD which have to be gone into in this particular continuum can have very, very low latency. The quality of service has to be very high. So in terms of the priority, in terms of the quality of video, in terms of quality of radars, quality of any kind of communication which is there of AD has to be very high. Robust is understood. AD communications should have low power of detection, low probability of detection, low probability of interception, and anti-jamming. So the moment you go to TBA, you'll find the last weapon systems are connected to ADCPs, mostly on radio. They are normally not on wire. And therefore, their chances of their being picked up or interfered are very strong. And therefore, these three qualities or characteristics are very, very important. AD communications need to be guaranteed. There is no way there can be a break in AD communication. Therefore, in terms of its redundancy, in terms of alternate circuits, in terms of all that, it has to be guaranteed. And last I have added in this particular thing is integrated. All the speakers before me have brought out the virtues of getting an integrated AD system, whether it is in terms of CNR, in terms of the destruction, detection, authorization, whatever. Every facet of AD has to be integrated today. Now, if that be so, then what are the variables which are affecting the AD communications for our realization of an integrated air defense command and get all the AD entities under one single umbrella today? That is the challenge what we have in front of us today. Getting everyone under a single AD commander. Of course, the AD elements which are there for a TBA kind of a battle of a theater would continue to be under the services. But the rest of it would come under the command or command and control of the integrated AD command. Now, the air defense philosophy, right from World War II, has evolved. We used to have point ADs, which were called VAPPs and protection of VAPPs, medium gun areas, etc., etc. We moved on from there to limited area defenses, like BAD-C. Around Amritsar, Air Force had a BAD-C of 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers. And now we have moved on to layered area defense. We provide air defense to huge swath of areas where the points and the limited ones are all subsets of it. And therefore, there is an integration of the AD philosophy of VAVP with the area defense philosophy. Therefore, the communications also have to flow in this manner. That earlier, what you were providing links to limited kind of setups of 100 by 100, you have to now take care of pan-India, or you have to take care of theaters, and therefore you have to move into networks. The basic functions of AD continue to remain same, whatever be the evolution of philosophy. That is detection, identification, interception, and destruction. Whilst the overall responsibility of all these four functions today is with Indian Air Force, but you will realize that the detection and destruction is still contributed by Indian Navy and Indian Army through Akash 3, Trigun, or through their AD setups. Therefore, after detection, for identification, authorization, and interception, the air situation picture has to go back to Air Force. Identification of IFRs to take place, and the RAS has to flow back. Therefore, you realize that there is a backward and forward movement of packets of information of data between the Army and Navy and the Air Force constantly in an AD scenario. And that is why Akash 3 needs to be integrated with IWCS at JADC, whether end of this year as DGAD brought out or whenever. Trigun needs to be integrated with IWCS so that the RAS from the IWCS flows to Indian Army and Indian Navy for them to carry out their air defense tasks. So you would have realized that for the complete cycle of air defense to take place, right from detection to destruction, jointness is the answer. Without this true jointness, air defense command cannot function. No integrated AD is possible, and we will continue to live in the state as we were a few years back. Now, if you see any TBA today, you will find space operations, maritime operations, land operations, air operations, information operations. These are the same 5 domains which I showed you earlier. And you will realize that there is an interplay of all operations. The electromagnetic spectrum is common. The information domain in which these operations are going on is all common in the 3 services. And therefore, to realize the jointness, the most significant part is the ability to seamlessly communicate from the ATT, between the ATT entities of the 3 services, right from the strategic to the tactical level. How do you realize this? Most of the speakers till now have spoken till here that this is what is wanted. So how do we realize this? Let's see the existing communication networks of the 3 services. Can we realize the same thing through those? Now, Army has its typical core network, which is presently realized through ASCON Phase 3. some hide medias, and satellite communications. We have certain a data center on which some applications are running. And we have the access network or the two-way communications where the static, deployable, and mobile entities are serviced through fiber, through cables, through radio relay, through satellites, through radios, etc., etc. This is a typical communication setup which is stovepiped within Indian Army only. Nowhere would you find interplay of this communications with the other two services. If you see the naval communication setup, which is new, it again is based on hide media and they have their own setup. I will not go into details of this, but suffice to say, this also takes care of the operational and administrative aspects of Indian Navy only. AFNet, the latest avatar in the modern technology, they have a very good modern network which works on IP/MPLS technology. But today it takes care of the requirements of Indian Air Force only, whether it is their IACCS, it is their EMALS, it is their MOSAM, or it is various applications which run on this are being taken care of through AFNet only. So what do we have? So we find that in the definition of network-centric warfare, basically you have 4 domains: the physical domain, the information domain, cognitive domain, and social domain. For those of you who are uninitiated, let me give you one line on this. Physical domain is what? Where you find the cables, exchanges, where you and me stand. This is all physical domain. Most of the time, any integration which we talk of, we say it should be in the physical domain. We tend to work only in physical domain to carry out any kind of integration, which I think is a sad state of affairs. Next, we talked of the information domain integration. Whatever the sensors pick up, the commanders give their orders, moves from physical to the cognitive via the information domain. Yes, the integration has to take place at information domain only. When we say the IACCS should talk to Trigun or Akashthi, we say that the integration should take place in information domain. Cognitive are the decision makers who should integrate and talk to each other. They can only talk to each other if the communication networks of the 3 services talk to each other. So if you want to have integrated AD, the AD commanders of the 3 services have to integrate at the cognitive level. And the last is the social domain level. When you have integration at the social domain level, then the integrated AD commander, whether he's from Air Force, Navy, or Army, can task the cognitive commanders or the other services commanders. He can task the other weapon systems. He can pick up things from the other sensors. That is the social domain kind of integration which we are looking for in both theater commands as well as functional commands. And for any fusion of any data to come up from the physical to upwards to the CDS, to the NCP, or to anyone else, the fusion has to take place right from physical to upward to social. But with the kind of communication networks which I showed you, today it is a stovepipe kind of communications of all the 3 services with very limited integration. There is no seamless shared situational awareness. Whatever shared situational awareness is going on is due to a lot of efforts which the signalers of all the 3 services put in. There is a lack of common operating picture at the price services level. There is no fused integrated picture which reaches IDS or COSC or the NCP. Any integration efforts, specifically for out of area contingency or amphibious, is all ad hoc, is all resource intensive. You will find on the naval ships, the 3 operators of all the 3 services with their radio sets, with their secrecy, would be sitting on there and trying to get some integration going on. The second last point is very important. There was some speaker who spoke on this, that the OODA loop currently flows within the respective services only. Why does it flow within the respective services? Because the communication flows through the respective services only. And there is no interplay between the services communication or the data networks. And therefore, the OODA loop flows only within the respective services. Dedicated resources today are not available with IDS, SFC, ANC, and CDS. Therefore, no functional command today has any signal officer or signal jawans to take care of their dedicated communications. And therefore, the 3 services willy-nilly have to provide communications to one or the other of functional commands. We don't want the similar situation to occur for Air Defense Command and all the future theater commands and functional commands which are coming up. And therefore, we decided to carry out integration on a brand new network which is coming up for the three services. Sorry, before that, let me just give you the communication philosophy based on which we try to give a solution to this. So we said any philosophy which has to come up for any theater command or any functional command like the air defense command, that communication philosophy should be in consonance with the operational philosophy of the theater oblique functional commands. And it should be future-proof. It should not be that it caters for the 3 theater commands and 2 functional commands today. If tomorrow 3 become 5 and 2 functional commands become 6, the kind of communication integration which we are doing now should be able to cater for it. The new theater commands, the OODA loop, instead of functioning through what it is functioning within the services today, should now function within the theater commands, so that the theater commander has his complete OODA loop functioning within it. And therefore, the communications of a particular theater of the 3 entities should flow within that particular theater only. But for a functional command like air defense command, logistic command, SFC, etc., there has to be a pan-India communication flow, because the AD sensors could be anywhere. They could be in the island nations, they could be in Northeast, they could be in Leh Ladakh, they could be anywhere. So the pan-India communication flow of functional commands and the IDS should take place. However, the 3 service chiefs continue to remain service chiefs, and they will be catering for things like equipment, manpower, training. Therefore, they too need to talk seamlessly within their lanyards or within the color of their uniform, which is intra-service communication. But this should span over pan-India, over the functional commands and over the theater commands also. Then how should the applications be? Applications like IACCS, which have to flow pan-India and pan-services, have to be agnostic to that particular network. Right now, IACCS is captive to FNet. Akash Tir and Trigun are captive to their respective services. And therefore, there has to be a seamless integration of these 3 networks. Whether this is carried out at JADC in case of Akash Tir or MOC in case of Trigun, that is a moot point. As DGAD had brought out, that the Akash Tir in its technical, operational and other QRs would meet IACCS requirements by end of this year in all its entirety, which is a very good state. Therefore, we hope that this integration in the information domain is carried out by the experts of IACCS and Akash Tir. To carry out this integration, the communication networks are in place. That I'm giving you a guarantee of. We are in place to provide that particular network, but the software of these 2 have to talk to each other. Let's come to other applications of theater commands. If there is an application which has to span pan-India, for example, the IDS may have a GIS which is meant for all the 3 services, for all theater commands, for all the function commands. It should be hosted in the central data center. You may have the SFC, or you may have the AD command, a functional command, who wants his thing to be both in centralized as well as federated. Typical example is IACCS. He may have a centralized thing like you have in AFNet today. He may federate it down to Army and Navy theaters also. We need to designate certain services data centers which would host the data or the applications of the functional commands in their particular data center, and then we link these designated service data centers so that the information flow between these takes place. And of course, within a theater, we will have a data center in which the OODA loop of that particular data center of that theater commander shall take place. And of course, data from all these data centers has to get fused and flow right till the NCP, CDS or the COS. This is the broad communication philosophy which has to be understood. Based on that, what is the kind of communication architecture we have got? The architecture is based on NFS. NFS, as you all know, is a huge network for all the 3 services, which was led by the Core of Signals who were rolling it out with active help from the other 2 services. And total of 60,000 kilometers of fiber has been laid in this, of which 47,000 kilometers is the or NLD or the core network, which is common to the 3 services. And the access network is typically in a station meant for these housekeeping requirements of the 3 services themselves. So number of stations which this covers is given in 219, 162, 33. Earlier, we had decided that within this core network, the three services will have their respective networks against top pipe, against standalone. But mercifully, and a very good step was taken, that some decisions were taken that no, we should not go about this way. We shall use the fiber in such a way that all the three services now ride on the same fiber. Little more as we go by. Now, NFS also has lots of data centers. This is typically the Army data centers. These are the Air Force data centers. These are the naval data centers. Some of these are central, some of these are regional, some of these are disasters, some of these are near local data centers. So what I want to bring about is that there is a plethora of data centers with us. So the requirements of theaters, requirements of national data centers, requirements of function commands can all be suitably met with these many number of data centers. Similarly, we have voice switches. These are the voice switches of Indian Army, which cater for their theater commands and the national requirements. Similarly, Air Force also have their voice switches, and Navy also has their voice switches. Once we integrate this, we will have so many voice switches that they can easily take care of all the voice switching requirements of theaters, of the functional commands, of the CDS requirements, and as well as of the services requirements. So service dialings within intra-service would be common. Whenever you have to dial anyone from outside your service, you will add a prefix and seamless dialing can take place. Now, this is a typical diagram of this thing. This is your 60,000 kilometers of core network, which I was speaking of. You have various NFS nodes, which are strung all across pan-India. You find a single black fiber which has been shown. So therefore, in the core network, the fiber is common between the three services. The encryption or the algorithms or the secrecy which runs on this fiber is also common between the three services. The multiplexing which has to be carried out on this particular fiber, which is called DWDM for those little technical, is also going to be common. So this much we have unanimity between the three services, and this is done. But the true integration will occur if these routers which have been shown, if the routing plane is also common between the three services. Right now, the discussion or the meetings or the collegiates between the three services going on to get a solution which is satisfying all the three services, so that the routing plane also becomes common between the three services. Rest of it as to what will be the HR requirements, the manning patterns, etc., fault diagnostic, the common messaging solution, the PKI, IM solutions, etc., have all been threadbare, dealt with, discussed, and consensus arrived at between the three services. The only point where the three services are right now discussing is how the routing plane has to be made up. So once this is done up, each theater will have its data center, will have its voice switch, and the designated data centers will have a tri-services or functional command element built into that particular thing. So all the three services have identified certain data centers where the applications of the tri-services or the functional commands will be housed in those particular data centers. And these data centers shall be linked to the other data centers through high-speed data networks, through I don't want to get into more technical, but suffice to say, there will be linkages which will be built between these particular data centers so that seamless flow of data or information takes place based on the communication philosophy which I have just said. So therefore, the OODA loop of theater shall take place within a particular theater. Functional commands data would travel pan-India. The service chief's requirements would travel pan-India. And the COSC or the NCP requirements would be the fusion of everything data and which is brought right up to NCP or till there. If that happens, and this shall happen in maybe about 6 months' time, we will find that integration would take place in all domains, whether it is physical, information, cognitive, and social. So what happens in social domain is that now the AD commander would have a shared sense making, because the sensor data of all the three services hitting him. So he will have a shared awareness, a shared understanding of all the three services and of all the sensors pan-India. And all that will lead into something called collaborative decision making. The top line is the gist of any integration efforts which you carry out, whether you carry out only for air defense purposes or for any other purposes. Some of you may also have a doubt that why are we carrying out integration of NFS and why don't we carry out the same integration based on defense communication network? Not a bad question to ask, a good question. But those of you who know about DCN would realize that it meets the requirements only of the strategic entities of the three services. And these have been shown in the slide. As far as Indian Army goes, it is only at the core and above. IF only for their air headquarters, airfields and ADBCs. Indian Navy only to command headquarters. IDS 8, SFC 1. Whereas for theaterized commands and functional commands, we want a network which meets the requirements of complete from the tactical to the strategic. DCN cannot meet the complete requirement of the theaterization, both of theater commands as well as of functional commands. It can meet a certain requirements of certain strategic subscribers. So my best recommendation is that DCN continues to be used as a backup to NFS so that at least some integration is available in case all chips are down of NFS. So based on whatever I've spoken till now, my takeaways or recommendations are centralized control of communication down to sensors and web. When you have an integrated setup, right from the physical to upwards, you'll realize that all the entities are now being controlled through a centralized control. Centralized control can only come about if the communication is central and the communications are being controlled centrally. Therefore, there is a point to think that the sensors and weapon system, the communication of these sensors and weapons, should it be controlled by other arms and services or should it be given to Corps of Signals to take care of the complete distance? Even if it is not given completely to Corps of Signals down to the last weapon system, at least the control of this communication down to the weapon system and sensors should be held by the Corps of Signals. Only then can this network function seamlessly. Second point, I've been reiterating, every speaker has been reiterating, I'm not going to that. Without that, nothing much will come about in the integration aspects. AVM Srivastava had said a lot on this, that all applications, since we are now going to house the data of all sensors in a data center, they have to be run on an AI engine, as well as data analytics need to be run on that. And we'll have plethora of data, which is, being churned on a daily basis. Now, I'm also told that once the Air Defense Command comes up, IACCS may integrate certain sensors directly, not as a system from Indian Army and Indian Navy like Akashtir or Trigun, but directly as a sensor into it, specifically long-range surveillance radars, etc. That should be carried out very forthwith. The lead service. I'm told Air Force is going to be the lead service as far as the Air Defense Command goes. Therefore, the lead service has to take ownership of this. And when I say ownership, therefore, the integration of IACCS with Akashtir and Trigun also is part of taking the ownership. My experience of 40 years in Indian Army is that whenever an arm, service, a directorate or a branch took ownership of any project, it succeeded. I can give hundreds of examples of this. And whenever they did not take ownership and the ownership rested with someone else, the projects never took off. Or after 15 or 20 years, we had to foreclose these particular projects. Data sharing mechanism between service data center to be finalized. I have given you only the headings as to how the data centers have to get integrated, etc. But the experts have to go down to the granularity of each and every kind of integration aspects, the protocols, the interfaces, and everything has to be gone into to make sure that this data sharing mechanism takes place seamlessly. And of course, without a common security framework between the three services, the common algorithms, the common access mechanism, the common permissions, common IAM, common PKI, etc., the security, without that, the integration would not take place. With that, I have come to my end of my presentation. If there are any doubts, I'm open to questions.
So, gentlemen, those who are online are most welcome to ask certain questions, because I think this whole issue of an integrated approach to air and missile defense is not possible without this backbone of communication, which has been so beautifully explained by General Sabharwal. So I will request all the viewers, attendees as of now, in case you have any question to ask, the general is the right person to ask, right? We'll wait for about a minute for you to shoot.
The first question is already there, sir, in the chat.
I can't read it. Can you read it out for me?
Sir, how do you compare this with USA FCS?
Firstly, let me concede that I don't have much of knowledge of USA FCS. But
SM, can you SM, you have been unmuted. Would you like to explain? SM, you can speak. Hello, SM.
So nonetheless, I think what we are looking at is a solution for India. Whether or how it compares with the United States, actually, General Sabharwal will answer better. To my mind, it does not matter much.
see, we time and again keep comparing made in India solutions with the NATO or the American solutions or the Chinese solutions or the Russian solutions or all this. The theaterization or the jointness effort which are going on are very, very typical in to Indian armed forces. They are not the way the theaterization or the integration was carried out in USA in the early 80s, which resulted in now I think there are 12 or 13 operation commands and I don't know how many functional commands they have. Their reach is global. They have used satellites quite a lot. They use internet. They have all the other means of carrying out that particular integration. But the basic characteristics or basic tenets of providing air defense communication would remain same. I can assure you this. Whatever characteristics of communication I had shown you, of being real time, of low latency, of quality of service, robustness, guaranteed, etc., would remain same. The means to provide that communication could be any. Whether they are through radio relay, they are through microwave, through other radio, software-defined radio, through satellite, or what, it doesn't matter. As long as the complete AD functions from detection till destruction and in between identification, authorization, interception, etc., these functions can be seamlessly carried out by all the three services in an integrated manner. The communications are asynchronous in time and space, and the basic tenets of NCW, which I gave you, that the sensors are independent of organizations or services, the decision makers are independent of geographical locations, and the weapon systems are independent of the platforms. If our communication setup can achieve this, it is comparable to anyone.
Is there any other question, sir?
It's elaborated whatever in 2000 DRDO took FCOS, in which and RTIS, real-time information system, in line with FCS, though off after that it's not typed.
So if there are no other questions, we'll end the session here, sir. So it remains for me to now thank General Sabharwal. If you all remember, like when we began the day, I made a statement saying that air and missile defense is inherently multi-domain, and so it comes out so clearly that he has given you a very good perception of the physical domains, the cognitive domain, the social domain, information domain, as to how all the layers have to get interconnected if we have to have anything functional going on, anything functional happening in war fighting. The C4I2 SR, it cannot function regardless of whether it is targeting in the AD environment or whether it is targeting in the physical, like I'm talking about kinetic strikes, surface strikes. None of this is possible unless what he has just explained happens. And what was very heartening to know was that the timelines that he is mentioning is that we could be very close to seeing the whole thing getting realized. Certain issues of data centers, etc. I'm sure active debate and cooperative efforts will see it happen. And there's this last bit that we have not spoken today, which is actually in the pure Air Force domain, the operational data links. Now, as and when the trial service air assets start getting integrated, so the operational data links maybe also, because they're very platform specific, etc. Maybe tomorrow we will have time to discuss some of those issues as to how that bit of integration can also come. But it's the first time, actually, honestly, that I have seen and attended a very lucid and very conceptual, detailed explanation of how tri-service jointness and integration in communication is going to happen. And I mean, all I can say is that we can, all our viewers can just join me and giving General Sabharwal a big hand. Thank you so much. I think it was really worth injecting this session, and I think all our viewers have been benefited. If there are any questions to you, maybe tomorrow they can come up and we'll get back to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thoroughly enjoyed your talk, sir, General Sabharwal. We will, of course, bank on you further for your advice for our events. Tomorrow we will start at 9:30. We have very eminent speakers lined up. We have 3 sessions and we'll finish at lunchtime. One is on emerging technologies, one is on research and development, and the third one, although it's on Atmanirbharta, the Air Force and the Navy will give out their procurement plans. And we have 3 senior scientist F and scientist G from the DRDO, also giving us latest on research which is happening. So 9:30 we will start. Please join us tomorrow morning. We will close this session now. Thank you.
And the Aakhri Dabba can be really interesting. So, okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.